Good morning. We're here on a beautiful Sunday, and a couple things on the docket today. First things first, let's get the truck washed. Okay, so we're back. I just finished washing the truck. More of like a quick rinse, to be honest. It's not very in-depth cleaning. Every time I go over that pass, the truck gets filthy, and I go every week, so it's kind of tough to keep it clean. But I do like to wash it after my trip, just for appearances. I just like to keep the truck clean. That being said, as you can probably see in the video, my truck is a mess right now. It's like fully loaded right now with material that I have to unload, so you might get to see some of that. The purpose of this video is to talk about the rebrand and just my channel moving forward, as well as I might fit in a little Q&A. Some people have been asking recurring questions that I just want to answer, and hopefully it'll help some people out. But that doesn't mean don't watch the videos, because we're always learning new stuff, right? So I just parked up to this kind of like landing zone for boats, maybe once upon a time. I'll show you guys in a second. But I wanted to talk to you guys about my rebrand and why I did it, and what's going to happen with my channel moving forward. So as to why, simply put, because I wanted to. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. There are a couple reasons specifically, but the main thing is just wanting to change it from such a corporate entity. Ultitech is my company, but I am not my company, if that makes any sense. And I want to represent myself and who I am on my channel. I want to be able to do vlogs and expand my content and the subject matter, which, not saying I couldn't before, but I feel like I was a bit more limited with my company, or being attached to my company directly. That being said, the name of my company was the first two initials of my ex's name and the first two initials of my name, ALTI. That's why the company is named that. So we have broken up. So the primary focus of my channel will remain drops and telecom content. Obviously, that's my bread and butter, and it's kind of my niche. So don't worry about that. You guys are still going to get lots of drop content. Probably 80-90% still, but I do want to just leave a little bit of wiggle room for some other stuff. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you don't like those videos, let me know, and I may or may not stop posting them. It is my channel, and I can post what I want. So the name Fibers is something that I came up with a couple years ago, and I was initially going to name my company Fibers. Fiber as in fiber, what I do, and Burrs is the first couple letters of my last name. So it works. It's kind of like a play on words, and I think it sounds cool. It brings a bit more of my personality to the channel and separates myself from my company as an entity. And I just want to be able to give you guys content that represents me. It's a beautiful day out here, really sunny. There's sailboats out. I'm gonna take a walk here and show you guys in a second. So regarding my content, it's going to stay pretty much the same. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to be posting some more vlog style videos like this, as well as tool reviews and content on that kind of stuff. So please let me know in the comments. Feel free to email me with questions or specific topics you'd like to see on the videos. I'm going to try my best to get to everyone's requests, but that being said, my focus is my work, and I film a lot of my work, so that's kind of what we're gonna get as I have more time and the weather gets warmer. Like right now, it's a beautiful day. It's 8 degrees right now, supposed to be going up to 18 degrees. That's Celsius. Check out this beautiful day, just gorgeous. Got the beach right across the lake right here. It's beautiful big orange bridge, or bob as we call it. Everything's going to stay the same. I just wanted to make a change. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I've had the name in my head for a while. It's kind of like a play on words with my last name, and obviously fiber. So I hope you guys don't mind, and I hope you still watch. But yeah, stay tuned for the Q&A. Okay, so another question I have here is, how did I get into this? It's a long story. I got lucky, pretty much. I was a roofer in Ontario. I got offered a job as a technician, a telecom install technician in Alberta. I went out there to train. I chose to do it, and then I went back to Ontario and moved my whole life. I was in Alberta for 1 month before we got offered this drop contract out in BC. I had no idea what drops were. I had never ran a drop or anything like that. A day or two before we came out to BC to do them, I got shown kind of like a tutorial on how to do one by a technician for the company that I sub for. And right away, I realized I can do this way better, way faster, way more efficiently. Not to shit on the guy that was doing it, but he was pretty slow. I took it upon myself to just be the best I could be at this job. And the rest is history. It's been 3 years since then, and I take my job pretty seriously and I do it as best as I can. And I'm constantly learning, and I hope you guys are too. What do I recommend someone do if they want to get into this field? First off, watch my videos. You can pretty much learn everything about every type of drop situation from my videos. I've done it all. Unfortunately, I haven't filmed all of it. There's large portions of my first and second year, as well as the second half of last year that I didn't film. I'm closing in on probably between 2,000 and 2,500 drops, and a lot has happened since then. So watch my videos, ask questions, and you can learn how to do what I do. Regarding finding a position, that's a lot harder. I got very lucky, kind of like a family connection thing, but just luck and hard work. Hard work is the key to it. Everyone says that, but for me, hard work isn't difficult. I find hard work easy. I've been working hard since I was 17 doing flat roofing. That being said, reach out to local telecom companies, do some research, find contractors in your area. If you see people working, pull over, talk to them, ask them what's going on. If they have openings, tell them you're interested in the trade, exchange information. You got to put yourself out there. Life is short. You can't just wait for the golden ticket to come to you, right? I got very lucky, but I also put in the work, and I showed from the beginning that I was willing to hustle to get the job done. What other kind of jobs do I do? So besides being a experienced flat roofer and residential roofer, I do the odd roof repair here and there. I'm also a trained technician, so I can do fiber and copper installs start to finish. I've done a couple rewires where homes have been done wrong from the beginning, so I have to go in and pretty much change the whole drop path, the fiber path from the outside all the way to the panel, install boosters, yeah, all sorts of stuff like that. There's some videos of that up. I'm hoping to post more this year, but stay tuned for that. Oh, and to add to the kinds of jobs I do, you guys should really check out some of my dig videos. I have a couple more coming out soon, but obviously I don't dig or drill or trench through the winter. I never drill myself personally, but I assist on certain drill jobs and run the drops for those placements. Another question I get is, do we use mechanical or fusion splices? For this provider at the nib or the NID or the DMARC, we do mechanical splices. The tech will show up, they'll put a connector on. It'll be like an AFL SC-APC green connector, green end, and they put that on, they put a Ruby on it, and then they go back to something called an FDH, which is like the main hub that all of the FOSCs and NAPs and the whole network kind of connects back to, and then from there it goes to head office. So in the FDH, it's pretty much just a big switchboard. They find the Ruby, they put in the assigned tail, and that finishes the connection. They just have to release activation after they activate the SFP, which goes into the modem and converts the light back to data, like back to electrical signal. Why do we run tracer underground? I wish I knew. It's protocol. They want us to do it. It makes sense for certain applications, in my opinion. I argue with them sometimes on where they want it and why, but it's just my job. I just have to do it. And if anything, it acts as a pull string for the next guy. I get asked a lot why I don't pull string in when I pull my drops in. Usually because I didn't have a string to start with. If I'm using a string, sometimes I will pull a string in, especially on a long run or through mainline, tub to tub. That's when I'll usually pull it in. But if I'm using a string from the house to the tub on a new install, or from the house to a pole, the fiber's going in. It's never, no one else is ever going to need to go through there, really. Like, if they ever want another fiber service, they can split the fiber service that I put, the single fiber line, into 4 gigabit plus services. If they need another line on its own, then they can either pull the fiber out and replace it with the double drop, use the tracer to pull in another drop, or just rod it. It's really not that difficult. MDU builds, multi-drops. So I get asked what kind of fiber I run. Is it a single fiber strand? Is it multiple? For the most part, it's a single fiber. So this is a 100-meter drop, and it's a single fiber drop. Just one end that gets plugged into the MPT. I run doubles for houses that have suites, obvious duplexes, obvious triplexes, and businesses. Businesses are required by protocol. Duplexes and stuff like that aren't, but I like to preemptively run double drops because it's very common for me to get an order and then a month later get the other unit, and then guess what? I already ran it. So there's that. Regarding MDU builds, which stands for multi-dwelling unit, that is like apartment buildings. Sometimes it can be a plaza with multiple units where they all feed back to one main mechanical room, or MER, main electrical room. Those are usually built out by different companies that are contracted specifically to run and light up an apartment building or whatever. That being said, I'm also capable of doing those types of installs. I have a job here in my town that I did, about 50 units that I wired with fiber. It took, all in all, about 3 to 4 weeks if we were to condense the time. It split over like 2.5 months maybe, or two months, but the time we actually put in was probably closer to 3 weeks if we were to time it out. We had to install cabinets on the outside, 4 of them, 3 12F cabinets and 1 24F cabinet on different parts of the building, and then we had to route drops with clear curve from those cabinets to the exterior of every unit and entry, and then terminate on the inside with those green connectors. And then the whole system was tested, labeled, and quality controlled. So it was a pretty big process and project. But yeah. Regarding MDU, it's multi-dwelling units. You guys have seen a video where I posted, and it was like a 6-unit apartment that people were saying I should have ran 6F or something to service the whole thing, or it should have been done like that from the beginning. And you're right, it should have been done like that from the beginning, but unfortunately I can't control that. It can be hard to register and get these properties prepped for a fiber build. It has to be approved by their stratas, by the owners, by the tenants, and by the provider, because it all costs money and it's just a whole bureaucratic process. So I wish it were as easy as, no, this is 6 units, I'm going to do this type of build. It's not. Okay, what do I do if the MPT or the NAP is full? If the NAP is full, the first thing I do is determine if there's another NAP close by that I can run the drop from. Sometimes it's a pull away, sometimes it's 2 pulls away. It's a hassle, but I can do it. I do get paid extra for spans, so the extra work that gets put in, I guess is worth it. But I'm always for using the assigned NAP and the closest one. So next thing I do is I call back office and I determine whether any of those drops that are in the NAP are out of service, or they could just be dead drops, or something called warm homes, where the fiber was run during the build and never installed. So then the technician on the phone will confirm with me whether I can use a port. If I can, I will take that port, I will park the drop that was in there above the MPT, and that's it. Just get on with it. Sometimes I have to call in capacity adds, which means the ports on the MPT aren't all live. It could be an 8-port NAP where the ports 7 and 8 are dead. They were just never spliced in during the build. So I have to call in a capacity add. Splicers come and they put those into the network. Therefore, light will pass through and I can use them. That sometimes can take up to 2 weeks, so it can be put on hold. Usually I will run the drop, I will park it and label it and picture everything accordingly. And then once the capacity add is in, either I will go back and plug it in, or the technician who does the install will just go and plug it in. It's really not that big a deal. Another question I get often is what happens to all the cutoffs? Can I reuse them? Do they just get thrown out? Simply put, they get recycled. I just store them until I have a bunch, and then usually bring them to like an assigned recycling bin at one of the COs. Sometimes they get thrown out, like the really short pieces. I can reuse them for certain applications, maybe connecting houses together where we don't need a factory Corning end, right? Like this Corning end here. This is only needed to plug into an OptiTap port up on the air or in a tub. So sometimes longer cutoffs can be used, but for the most part they get recycled. Another big question I get is about the modifications I do to homes, meaning putting anchors up, saddling down the walls, installing nibs, because in the videos it seems like I just do them not willy-nilly, but just kind of place them there without any type of consent from the homeowner. That's just not true. I almost always make contact with the customer when I'm on site. I either knock on the door, I call them ahead of time, and I let them know I'm going to be there. I explain what I'm going to do and make sure I have their consent. Sometimes customers won't allow me to be there unless they're there and they can kind of see what I want to do, and then they approve it. I've had customers request that I email them pictures with kind of suggested placements and stuff like that, but that's kind of extreme. For the most part, customers say go ahead. They trust that I know what I'm doing, and luckily I do. And I think the last question for this Q&A is what happens when a line breaks, or how does it get spliced? Usually the drop will just get replaced, especially on a shorter run. On a longer run, what'll happen is the drop will get spliced back to the closest pole. If it snaps between the last pole and the house, then we bring it down the pole, put a splice box up, and then extend another drop, splice it in the box, either fusion or mechanically. If it's somewhere rural or kind of out in the bush, I might do a fusion splice just so I know it's good, there's good light level. I can just seal it up and it's good to go. We also do aerial splices in enclosures called gators. You can see that being done in my 1 kilometer drop video, and it's kind of annoying, to be honest. You have to fusion splice on the ground, and then you have to go up and like wrap the tail all up the strand and zip tie it up or Deltec it up, and make sure it's nice and secure in like this little bow tie. So it's especially not fun in the winter. Introduce you guys to Tycho here. He's half Pomeranian, half Chihuahua, and he is rattled by anyone walking by. We're up on my deck. Hopefully the audio is not too bad. Just filming a little clip that I found out that I was missing from the earlier Q&A that I was filming, and just have 4 more questions that were asked quite a bit, so I'm going to answer those now. Let's check them out here. The big one is, why don't I strap myself to the strand the way that everyone else seems to? Although it is common practice to wrap your strap around the ladder and the strand for obvious reasons, I find it very cumbersome and slow, to put it plainly. I'm very experienced on a ladder. I have close to 12 years of ladder experience, and I just don't find that it's necessary. I find it cumbersome, it gets in my way, and I just can't work efficiently with it. I understand that there's a slight safety risk when not doing that, but I'm confident in my ability and I work well doing it that way. I would like to say to each their own. Obviously there are specific safety practices that should be followed, and I don't condone doing anything otherwise. I was a roofer for 7 years. I have over a decade of experience with ladders and working at heights, and I've had working at heights certificates probably 5 times. I've done the course many times. There are two main ways to protect yourself from falling. There's fall arrest and fall prevention. What I use is fall arrest, meaning that if I were to fall, the way that I hook myself up, it would arrest my fall and not allow me to hit the ground and die. Fall prevention is the strapping around the strand where you literally cannot fall. And although it is the safer way, there are downsides to it as well. Okay, next question. Who does the install after I run the drop? That's a very common question that I get. And also, why don't I do the install? It's not part of my contract. My contract is to do drops. The way our build is set up here and our contract works is we as drop technicians get order-based drops. As someone requests service, we go and run the fiber if it's not already there. Sometimes it is there. We have to confirm that it's there and confirm port and that kind of information and get it ready for the technician. Don't do the install because again, it's just not part of our contract. I can do them. I'm physically capable of doing them. I don't want to do them. I'm happy doing the outside stuff and doing the drops. That's what I like to do. So there you go. Regarding who does the install, it'll either be an in-house technician for the provider or a contractor, but that's specified for INR, install and repair, because there are contractors who do just drops, there are contractors who do just install and repair, and then there's contractors who do full out builds of fibers, bringing fiber to cities. And the last question is regarding shared poles and strands, because I come across it often and I see you guys ask me about it. Here in BC, at least in my area, everywhere I've worked in BC, it's very common for strands to be shared. It may not be exact protocol, but it's just a realistic reality of what we're up against. You know, like I'm not going to run a drop that crosses a road to a single story home at the back of a lot where there's barely enough clearance on the road, because I have protocol and I have to meet my clearance standards. So if that means attaching to the strand across the street, whether it's a competitor strand or not, I'm going to do it. A lot of areas you'll see all the lines are going to both strands, and you may think, okay, but what about their lines? So their lines are either going from their side of the road to that house, or they cross the road to our strand and vice versa. It's the same thing. Pole wise, I see a lot of comments about pole trespassing and stuff like that, and coming off of J hooks. It's very common to come off a J hook here, usually to gain clearance. Coming off the strand is our protocol, it's our standard, so that's what we do for the most part. So Tycho Knight here wanted to thank our viewers, and more specifically the 3 members that we have currently. We have Jordan, Mauricio, and That Lion. They've all been members for a couple days now, and I really appreciate the support, guys. It means a lot. I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't expect it. And also want to put out a special thanks to Echoscope and BT Schmiedes, I think is his name. Echo donated $50 and BT donated $5 from my last video, which I really appreciate. I am looking to buy new camera gear and just elevate the footage, so I will be doing that. In no way am I asking for any type of donations or money, so I really appreciate it. We thank you very much. One last thing before I forget, there's a couple videos that I'm working on, so stay tuned for those. One of them being a truck, updated truck setup and tool loadout. I know you guys have been asking for that, and I'm working on that MDU build video so you guys can kind of see the bigger projects that I work on. That one took me about a month to do, and not the video, the project. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to go pretty in depth on it, the whole build out. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of footage from the actual job. I wasn't filming at the time. I wanted to take this moment to thank everyone for all the support I've been getting. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, and it definitely drives me to make more content. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to drop that sub.